Hello, and a very warm welcome to this 1.1ness session. My name is Els. For those of you who join us for the first time, let me give you a little bit of a background to this session. A number of us working for 1 Point Consulting are meditating on a regular basis. And the meditation we practice is called Raja Yoga. It's the yoga of the mind. I personally feel this practice very beneficial, not only in the workplace, but also in my private life. We started this project 1.1ness as we felt it was important to share some of these meditation practices with a wider audience. The project was launched in May 2020 in the middle of the pandemic. It was COVID and lockdown time. This was a period marked by major worries about people's mental health, including issues such as depression and anxiety, fear, stress, and worry. These half-hour oneness sessions are facilitated by experienced meditators from different professional backgrounds and from around the world. The sessions involve discussing specific topics such as the power of the mind, the importance of resilience, how to manage our thoughts, how to deal with negative thoughts, but they also include a brief meditation exercise. So far, we have had more than 120 guest speakers who have contributed to this project, and we hope that many individuals will take benefit. All the sessions have been recorded and they are available on YouTube. Today, I'm very pleased to welcome Judy Johnson, who joins us from Canada. For 35 years, Judy has worked as a facilitator and a coaching consultant in experiential learning, leadership development, and organizational effectiveness. She works with governments, with private and community-based organizations internationally as well as locally. Judy holds a Bachelor of Social Work and a Master's in Adult Education. She's also the author of several books, such as The 7 Secrets of the Universe, Beautiful Thoughts. She's the co-author of a book, A to Z Spiritual Literacy, and she has also written a book together with her 2 daughters, a young adult novel. Judy coordinates the activities of the Meditation Center in Canada, in Halifax. Topic for today is Seeing Beauty, Becoming Beautiful. So very warm welcome to you, Judy.
Thank you, Els. A very gracious welcome and introduction, and I appreciate that. And I also appreciate hearing the background of the 1 Point. It's very nice to hear that. I think I'm here speaking to myself on this screen, which is kind of funny, but it's kind of what we're getting used to in this world. And a hello to all the 1 Point people out there, and those of you that have been taking benefit from this series for all these months and years. It's really been, I know I've poked in and listened to various speakers over time, and I like the format. I like it short and sweet. It's kind of like a good podcast. You've got 20 minutes to half hour to really pay attention. So big appreciation to 1 Point for that. Today's topic has a little bit of a background story to it. So as a meditator here with the Brahma Kumaris, we're very much focused on peace. We're focused on inner, power, love, happiness, all those qualities that we all want. And at 1 point during COVID, the idea came, well, the Brahma Kumaris as a global organization was looking for a global initiative, something that would benefit the whole world. We could all unify and focus on together. And a request went out, any ideas? And at that time, I was working on another project, which was about creating a beautiful new world and how much our hearts longed for a beautiful new world. And so I and a small group of people, we made a suggestion for a project, an initiative, let's call it. And that initiative was called, let me get this up here right away. Sorry about that. Was called Golden Drops. And the idea was that we would just drip by drop, tipping point style, add drops of beauty, not just to the world, but to our consciousness. So we created this initiative, and it was called Golden Drops. And the tagline was shining light on beauty, consciously creating a beautiful world. And the idea was that by seeing beauty in our world, we would actually create more beauty. We have to see it to create it, to feel it. We can't be constantly complaining about how ugly the world is or how horrible the situation is. As meditators, we understand how much power our consciousness has in creating the reality around us. So that was the background to that. So for 365 days, we created one video a day. It was a massive undertaking. We had a team of about 50 around the world in several time zones, so we could launch first thing in the morning in Asia, then in Europe, and then over to North America. And so we had a wonderful experience as a team, because our focus was finding something beautiful each day, something new and different for 365 days. So we went the beauty of the human spirit, we went the beauty of nature, the beauty of art and human creativity, the beauty of solutions, human solutions. We went into all of the innovative solutions we're finding on the planet today to deal with the issues we face. So this Golden Drops logo, you will find all 365 of those beautiful meditation, kind of like a meditation commentary, but really they're just a short, somebody speaking a few words about what they find beautiful. So it's a wonderful project. I think it was amazing for all of us, those who did watch it and use those little videos for their own meditation sessions, or in the workplace when they needed to share something positive and uplifting in a meeting. They were well used, and we got a lot of good feedback. So I know it was good. And I know they live on YouTube, so they will still do service even a year and a half later. But what I want to share with you today is a little bit more about what happened to us, the team of 50, when we undertook this project, because I think we were just doing something that felt right. I think we were just doing something we thought would contribute to a better world. The grand finale of that year, so it was the month of May in end of 2023. So I guess we're coming up to 1 year ago it ended. We did what we called a 31-day personal journey into beauty. You won't see this accurately because I'm not screen mirroring, but I'll include the link and send it to Else. As a result of that, we have a book. But this 31-day project for the final month, the grand finale, we called it a personal journey into beauty. And basically, the idea was, what we discovered ourselves was that the more we focused on beauty day after day after day for a year, the more we found ourselves changing. And that we were becoming, I wouldn't say externally more beautiful, but we were feeling our inner world was becoming more beautiful. And we discovered that actually our lens, the lens through which we looked at the world, began to change. And we were beginning to see the world through a lens of beauty, which meant when we turned and looked at our friends or neighbors or companions, we would see more beauty than we had before. They were still the same people, but somehow we were seeing them differently. So that made us very curious about what happened to us during that 1 year. And that last month, we divided it into 4 weeks, which I will share with you now. But before I go into the nature of this beautiful topic, seeing beauty becoming beautiful, I'd like to share a little bit about what happened to us. So in a group of meditators, the question we were asked very often was, why beauty? Like, why are you focusing on beauty? Shouldn't we be focusing on peace? Shouldn't we be focusing on nonviolence or kindness or gentleness or all of these things? And it was such a good question, but it meant that our regular meditators were a little less inclined to embark. They were a little less inclined to want to go looking for beauty because they kind of felt, I don't know, shouldn't we be focusing on something else? So that made us ask ourselves, why focus on beauty? And I've shared a bit of that now, but I'll invite you wherever you're sitting. And given that you're 2 weeks ahead of me, when you're going to hear this, it'll be a different time than I'm sitting in now, which I love about this medium. But I'm going to ask you, wherever you're sitting, to select an object in your immediate environment that you find beautiful. And so just look around wherever you're sitting, and this can be done very quickly, but it's more just so that you have the experience yourself of what I'm speaking of. So I have several beautiful things here for sure. I'm going to pick a painting on the wall that I see every time I sit at the computer. So I'll give you just a moment to pick something beautiful. And then to consider why you have that up there. So what is it you find beautiful such that you would place that in your immediate environment? So just take a moment and list off some of the qualities of that thing. I'm looking at my picture here. It's cheerful, it's bright, it's light. The symbolism of it's a sun on an ocean, and the colors are lovely, but it sort of draws me up. So I find myself lifting my gaze when I look at it. So it reminds me, it feels uplifting, cheerful, soothing. The colors are very calming and soothing. So that's me, and that's my object. You can name the qualities you find beautiful, such that you've put it there near you for yourself, and then just check, how do you feel in this moment? Now, I feel more uplifted, which is why I put it there. I feel soothed, I feel calm, and I feel cheerfulness is a quiet contentment, I guess. So just check yourselves and how do you feel? So that's kind of why we put beauty in front of us, because it affects us. And I had a couple teenage daughters when I wrote the 7 Secrets of the Universe book, and we were completely taken with all the dystopian literature, the Hunger Games, Divergent. I mean, George Orwell's 84 was the first I ever read as a young person myself. But the dystopian literature and movie, this genre, excuse me, has kind of taken over in the world. And that's now 10 years ago when my daughters were teenagers. And we watched a lot of this. And so the visuals of these movies, the visuals created in the minds by the books that we read, all look something like this. There's our Hunger Games hero. Good news is they were all female heroines. So that was a good part of that phase. Teenage girls like my daughters. So that was inspiring. But the visuals were like this. In other words, a world completely devoid of beauty. And when we looked at what are the people like in a dystopian world, they were pretty savage. They were pretty barbaric. They were pretty survivalist. They were very much on their own. Yeah, it wasn't pretty. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Mad Max. Okay. So what do the images all have in common? They're lacking beauty. So does a dystopian world create the people, or do the people create a dystopian world? And for those of you that know the Brahma Kumaris, they're sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're a self-reinforcing cycle. As I start to lose my lens of beauty and I begin to see the critical, the ugly in me, in others, I'm part of creating a world that is not beautiful, an ugly world. And then, of course, I live in that world, which mirrors back to me a lot of ugliness, and I then begin to see that more in myself and see it more in others. And I begin to be conditioned into believing this is natural. And for me, early in meditation, I discovered the difference between natural, which is actually the original state of the soul, peace, love, happiness, purity, beauty, all those things we long for, and what has become normal. And they're very different. What I have become acculturated to, what I have become accustomed to, what I now consider normal, is actually not natural. That's why it's so uncomfortable. So it was in this context that, in this context, the Brahma Kumaris are thinking constantly about creating a beautiful world, thinking constantly about contributing to a beautiful world through the quality of our own virtues, through our own beautiful qualities. And that's why we sit to meditate, is to go beneath the noise and even the ugliness of my conditioned habits, behaviors, thought patterns, to go beneath that and discover the beauty in the soul. So, our fellow and sister meditators wanted to know why meditate, because it didn't really, or why beauty. Um, and this became our answer, was that the soul longs for beauty. And when the soul sees beauty, it's actually nourished by beauty, which is why, as human beings, we continue to create beauty in our environments, whether it's through the gardening, whether it's through the way we decorate our space, whether it's through a color I choose. I love this color for whatever reason. I have one scarf of this color. It's -3 here today, so this is a very appropriate scarf for me here, my winter scarf. But including the colors we put on our bodies, our clothing, our interior design, the food we make and how we prepare it, everything we do throughout the day we will be creating or attempting to express the beauty in the soul, is my view and is my experience. So the reason we're looking at beauty is because beauty has a profound effect on the soul and on the world we create. So that's why we began looking at beauty. And what happened to us is we began to feel more beautiful inside, which was very, very nice. And this book that got created, which I will invite you all to get if you can, we here in May are going to do a 4-week series called Seeing Beauty, Becoming Beautiful. And that series is going to take us through this book, because the book is created as a 31-day meditation experiment. There's 31 little activities that you can do sitting in your armchair or walking out in the street. And there are 31 meditation commentaries with a QR code, so you can go straight onto YouTube and find it and listen to it and enjoy it. It's a reflective journey, but it's a journey into beauty. And with the idea that the practice of seeing beauty equips us with the vision needed to create a beautiful world. In the process of seeing beauty around us, we become beautiful. And I'd like to quote John O'Donoghue, famous Irish poet, used to be a priest, so very spiritual poet. Maybe many of you know him as you live in Europe. He's very popular here. But he wrote a book recently called The Invisible Embrace, and it's all about beauty, the invisible embrace. I'd like to read just 2 little snippets, quotes that he made, which are in the book because I felt it reflected what we were thinking about at that time. So we respond to joy. We respond with joy to the call of beauty because in an instant, it can awaken under the layers of the heart a forgotten brightness. We respond with joy to the call of beauty because in an instant it can awaken under the layers of the heart a forgotten brightness. And the other quote, when we walk on the earth with reverence, beauty will decide to trust us. The rushed heart and arrogant mind lack the gentleness and patience to enter that embrace of beauty. So to enter beauty's embrace, we actually have to slow down and we have to become silent inside. And that's what meditation is anyway. So that's John O'Donohue, Beauty, the Invisible Embrace. So the book and the series we did in the month of May took us through 4 steps because that's what we discovered in ourselves. That the first phase of our beauty journey over that whole year of golden drops was that we had to begin to see beauty. And we discovered that there were certain obstacles to our ability to see beauty. And so our focus was what enables me to perceive beauty in the world, in the people, in the situations, in myself, but in the world around me. And so the practice of seeing beauty became our practice for the first week. For the second week, then, what we discovered ourselves in those early months of creating videos, looking for themes and topics that seem to somehow reflect beauty, we began to discover that we were being touched by that beauty, that more and more we were attuning to beauty, that more and more we were feeling pretty good inside, actually. It became like our meditation process, even though a lot of the process was making of the video, curating the script, finding the right images, the good background music, all of that. While we were doing that, it was feeding the soul. We were actually, we were, as John Donohue says, there was awakening, a brightness beneath the surface. So even though there had been peace in me, and I had been aware of the peace in me through meditation, something brighter began to lighten up the peace that I was experiencing in meditation. My mental health, I mean, most people were finding their minds were less, they had less sort of waste or negative thoughts in their minds. Or attitude. We already had a pretty good attitude, but again, it was brighter. It was being colored by beauty. And there was one thing in particular that made a huge difference for us. And that was, it's like sitting on the horns of a dilemma living in the world at this time. On one hand, you see the ugliness, you see definitely what's going on, how we're hurting each other, how we're destroying the planet. That's so visible, so obvious. And on the other hand, you're kind of wanting to turn your attention away from that to the inner world and to the task of creating beauty. But somehow, what happened for us over this year is that the two became merged, the two became integrated. So we as souls, we as people began to feel more whole. We began to feel more integrated inside. I'll come back to this slide. But giving ourselves permission to see beauty because it increased our inner strength and joy is what we found. But here's the thing, we weren't entirely sure it was okay to see beauty in a world where ugliness exists. So part of the spiritual journey is to kind of let this old world go. Just let it go. Don't look at it. And of course, to live in this old world, we have to create and find beauty in it every day. But somehow there was a bit of an inner dissonance, inner conflict, where we couldn't quite put the two together. And this project really married them for us. My potential for creating something new begins with my ability to see beauty. So we began to feel ourselves getting more creative. This is how we were touched by beauty. And then I choose to open my inner door to perceive the subtle beauty around me, through what I see, hear, smell, touch, or catch as a vibration. So I'm still using my sense organs to be in this world. And instead of shutting down the sense organs, I can actually perceive the beauty that these sense organs were created for, or the reason they exist, without becoming attached to them. I can just be appreciative. Oh, look at that, beautiful. I simply allow myself to perceive it and experience it. So that was step 2. It was a big one for us. This touched by beauty was just to reflect on all the ways in which the project was actually touching us. We were being touched by. And then what we discovered is that our own inner beauty began to awaken. So I think I have a couple slides about this. Let's see. Yeah. Touched by beauty. Yeah. What we discovered was that what we find beautiful outside is a reflection of our inner beauty. Because, of course, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. This is very powerful awareness, and it was a powerful realization for us. I think we knew it intellectually. We knew that we're drawn to things of beauty because somehow they reflect back to us. They reflect our beauty back to us. But this project confirmed in a very big way for us whatever I find beautiful will bring me back to my own inner beauty. So, therefore, looking for beauty is a mechanism, it's a means to awaken my own inner beauty because it's a bridge back. I can only perceive something as beautiful if I resonate with it. So that means the vibrational frequency of the quality of that thing resonates with the quality in me, therefore it is in me. And so the bridge is there. And so as I began to discover my own inner beauty, of course, there's less self-criticism, less shame, less blame, less anger, less frustration, less hopelessness, disappointment, etc. Inner beauty just made us really shine. So inner beauty was the third. And then I'll take you back to the last. And the last of the 4 weeks in the book, which we wrote activities for, but in that last month of the Golden Drops project, the last week of the Seeing Beauty, Becoming Beautiful was the Co-Creating Beauty Week. And we look around at everything in our world, my friends, my family, my colleagues, my physical environment, the situations I find myself in, animals, time, even time, and just began to think of myself as a co-creative partner with the other, whatever the other was. And in the relationship of co-creation, to live that week, to explore during that week how I, together with my co-creative partner, time, I'm creating beauty in the world. And to be very intentional about that. So, the way I use time, I've been very, very purposeful about the way I use time. I don't waste time, but I found that I was softer with time. I began to treat time like a friend rather than something I had to manage really well. And that's just one realization for me. But that last step, and that really maps the journey from seeing beauty to becoming beautiful to creating a beautiful world, which is ultimately our aim. So I don't know how my time is going here, and I'll maybe look for a little signal, but I'm going to put in the chat box. None of you are on Zoom with me right now, but it'll go in the chat box to Else to maybe share with you. That's the link for the book in the UK for anyone who would like to purchase that or to get it. I don't know if your meditation center has it or not, but in May this year, 2 months from now, we will actually do a whole month's program on this topic of seeing beauty, becoming beautiful. And each day we will, on our own independently, do the activity in the book. But then every Monday, we will meet. Monday night is our public program night. We will meet and share our experiences of that week and that theme. So first, seeing beauty, what was that like for you? All week focused on beauty. What were the feelings? What was your experience of the week? Anything noteworthy? And we'll just create a little community of beauty. And then we'll depart again in the next week, and we'll do this online and we'll do this in the center. We're going to make May a month of beauty here in Halifax. You're more than welcome to join us. And And then we'll do the touch by beauty, and then we'll do the 4 parts, the inner beauty and the co-creating beauty. And our aim, of course, is to consciously create a beautiful world. So I think with that, unless else has a question, which she'll send me in the chat box, I think with that we could do a little meditation to end. I'll just take a moment here and see if there's anything else I would share with you as you're listening to this journey. And of course, feel free if there are any questions to send to Else, and she'll send them to me. So that was my personal journey with beauty, something that's been a very important part of my life. Even though I don't consider myself an artist, I'm not an artist, but I recognize the ways in which I'm always seeking or creating beauty, from flower bouquets to, beautiful pictures on the wall. I wish I could say my desk was beautiful. It's not yet, but it will be. But yeah, personal journey. So thank you for listening. And hopefully that adds some color to your meditation practice or to your world. And again, feel free to join us in the month of May if you would like. So let's go on a little meditation journey, shall we? So if you'll join me, you might want to close your eyes. It will allow you to use your imagination on the screen of your mind. You can see something. So let's just take a deep breath in and release it. Another deep breath in through the nose and release it gently through the mouth. Just very gently come into your inner space, that space behind your eyes where the soul resides in this body. Imagine yourself sitting in a room, peaceful, quiet room. On the screening room of the mind, big screen in front of you where you sit, I'd like you to imagine something, the beautiful thing, beautiful object you selected in the room around you, or anything beautiful you find in the world. But let's pick the object from the beginning of this session and just bring that onto the screen of your mind. And keep your eyes closed if you can, because we'll be using the power of the mind to visualize, which will strengthen your mind right now. So just bring that thing onto the screen of your mind and see the colors and the pictures and everything. And remember maybe the 2 or 3 qualities you find beautiful about that. So for me, uplifting, cheerful, and soothing. So those 3 qualities that I found beautiful. So bring your qualities to mind, and I'm going to ask you to put those qualities into a sentence. So the sentence will go like this: like that beautiful picture, I am uplifting, cheerful, and soothing. Uplifting, cheerful, and soothing. And so for a moment, I'm going to ask you just to keep the image of that beautiful thing on the screen of your mind. And I'd like you to say this sentence silently to yourself. Like that beautiful thing, I am. And then say your 3 words to yourself. So for me, like that beautiful picture, I am uplifting, soothing, cheerful. Okay, so say to yourself for a moment now. Take a deep breath in. And once again, say to yourself, like that thing of beauty, I am. Fill in the blanks with those 3 qualities. Deep breath in. And for one final time, say to yourself, like that, I am. One final time, slowly, and just settle into it. Deep breath in. In this moment, just see how you feel inside. Having recognized something of beauty around me, I stopped for a moment. I considered what are the qualities I find so beautiful, and then I activated those qualities in myself, which is an act of reclaiming those qualities for me. So you should be feeling those qualities now. You should be feeling some sense of benefit, of beauty, some benefit inside yourself. And take one last deep breath in. Release and come back with your eyes open and back to your day or your evening. And thank you. Thank you for joining me today.
And thank you, Judy, so much for sharing your thoughts on this topic, but also to talk us through this project, Golden Drops, consciously creating a beautiful world. I'd heard about the project. I must have seen a few sessions, but not all of them. And I'm so pleased to be reminded and also to be introduced to that book. It's really great. And what I realize is that what you explained, how much our consciously or the power the consciousness has in creating a beautiful world. And if we see beauty outside, it actually indicates there's beauty in myself, inside. So it's very nice to be aware of that. And thank you for the beautiful meditation commentary. And thanks everyone who joined us today. I hope you have enjoyed the session, and we're looking forward to welcoming you soon again at the next Oneness session. Bye bye. Have a nice day.